In the ongoing series of outcome-based education, today we will be talking on quality assurance in research. Now, what is quality assurance in research? It is basically about improving the faculty research quality, the new education development, as well as the strategies for improving research culture in colleges as well as in universities. In any discipline of the thought, research is a continuous process of expanding one's established knowledge based on discovering new frontiers that measure one's ability to comprehend the truth. The topic of research quality focuses on whether research in any area of knowledge contributes significantly to the knowledge ecosystem, and the topic of research quality has become a focal part of academic, technical and higher education policy, and it is debated around the world. Now, the Indian university system functions in a very heterogeneous conditions comprising of social, linguistic, regional, economical, locational and aspirational diversities which is prevailing across the country. And of course, these diversities are reflected in student and the teacher composition, but the influence of the teaching and research activity in Indian universities. The question of quality of research in India has to be situated in this very complex social milieu. In India, the issue of research quality has risen to the fore as a result of tremendous growth of research generated primarily as a part of doctoral research, PhD, in the university system over the last few decades. The increase in numbers as well as the subsequent concerns about the quality of research production necessitate a thoroughly analysis of the current situation and the recommendation for the corrective measure to improve the condition of research in India. Now, moving on with the research quality. The first measure of researcher's ability to perform high quality study is a PhD thesis, dissertation, and understanding what quality is and what's its criteria, and is very critical when thinking about the research quality. High quality research, by definition, is a method that covers all aspects of the topic of study by posing relevant questions and arriving at the accurate answers that greatly strengthens the current knowledge base and generate the new knowledge. Now, there are some standards of research quality and its determinants, and is a major part of outcome-based education. Now, let us talk about these determinants. The basis of research quality standard is the tenet of scientific investigation, the metaphysical underpinning and theoretical underpinning of science, a group of scholars' agreement, and as a result, following the function as the most general determinant of high quality research in all fields of study. Now, there are very variety of critical problems that can be investigated both empirically and conceptually. The transparency and an autonomous balance and the objective approach to the research problem. Now, moving on to other determinants, using of appropriate methodology to address the research problem, the proper conceptualization of the research problem and the reliable measurement of variables, the internal and international intellectual networks as well as the learned societies are active. Now, moving on to a very pertinent topic, that is the research quality in India. So, I will be stating certain facts and the scenario which is prevailing in India as far as the research quality is concerned. The foreground in the realm of the higher education, the study in the fields of science, engineering, technology, social science, commerce, law and management, and humanities is a significant component. That is, when you talk about the higher education, the foremost and the prime field is science and engineering and technology, followed by the social sciences and commerce, the law management, and followed by the humanities. They are the major components of the higher education research in India. The following are the key trends in the study degrees enrollment, which needs a special elaboration. The PhD and MPhil revealed by the data from the Ministry of Human Resource Development, All India Survey on Higher Education, that is AISHE. So these facts are very, very interesting. The enrollment to the research degree. The number of the students opting to pursue the research degrees shows an incredible rise in the trend, so which is definitely a very welcome step. So owing to the research initiatives taken by the Government of India, time and again, many funding agencies, this has shown a stupendous and tremendous increase in the enrollment of the students in the research degrees. So the total PhD admissions, they have doubled from 77798 to 2010-11 to 16,142 in 2017-18, and this figure has touched about, almost like more than 4,000 also in case of the present year. Because of the pandemic, the situation was little gloomy this year, but yes, overall it has taken the leap steps as far as the proliferation of the PhD admissions is concerned. The implicit growth rates in these numbers show that overall PhD admissions increased at the rate of 10% per annum during this period. And if you compare to PhD degree admissions, the enrollment of MPhil course increased at much slower pace, and it is about 5.2% per annum. And if you see the admission of the PhD degrees, it is about 10% per annum. And now, as per the new notification, the MPhil course has been scrapped. The number of the women opting for PhD course increased at a higher pace than men during this period, though their absolute number remains less than men for all these years. The discipline-wise composition of the PhD enrollment highlight that the maximum number of PhD students are enrolled in science, engineering, technology stream, followed by the social science and humanities. So that means what? The percentage of the PhD enrollments show a declining trend in the state public universities, institutes of national importance, and the central universities, where it is on the rise in deemed private universities. And this may have a reflection on the quality of the research produced at a doctoral degree level. So this particular trend, I would like to elaborate that the rise in the admissions is there in case of the deemed and the private universities, whereas there is a complete fall of the admissions of PhD in the central universities, university of national importance, etc. So this particular trend shows that the private deemed universities are taking a lead, although they are charging a lot of money as far as the PhD admissions are concerned, but still it is, for the scholars an easy way out to move into a private deemed universities rather than getting into the universities of central and the national importance. Because to get into these institutes of national importance and the central universities is not an easy thing. So this may have a complete reflection on the quality of the research produced at the doctoral degree levels. The PhD degree awarded shown as increased at a rate of 7.26% per annum, whereas in 2012-13 to 2016-17 from the basic level of 23,630. So this particular trend, as far as the present realm is concerned, has shown a tremendous rise. The female PhD awardees has increased at a faster rate, that is 9.37% per annum than male PhD awardees, which is 5.86% per annum. So this has actually reduced substantially the gender gap in the research at the PhD level. Now moving on to the quality assurance in research. This part of the presentation will now deal with the quality assurance issues and the solutions relating to effectively managing the quality of the research degrees, especially at the master's level and the PhD level. Now there are two things, the research output versus research outcomes. The two terms, that is the research output and the research outcomes, have different meanings altogether. The research output of any higher education institute is the number of research studies, reports, or the research papers published in the research journals, whereas the research outcome is the quality of research work or the quality of the output. And in case of the research, it means usefulness of research or acceptance level of research work by different stakeholders or by the industry or the uses and so on, or the research outcomes must be defined by every research work, and afterwards it will be ensured that the research outcomes are achieved or not. So it is mandatory for every organization, whosoever is offering a PhD or a higher research degree, they must offer and give the clear research outcomes for the students so that they can review that what research outcomes have been actually achieved or not. The research output must be defined very clearly, objectively, and in measuring the term, that is the definition of research, what the definition of research found in literature. It means what? It means that it contributes to the understanding of the phenomena or the new understanding of the phenomena, or to give the solution to the existing theory or to add a new theory. So that means what? You can do existing work improvement as well as you can add to the literature by giving a new theory as well. Now, according to Merriam-Webster Online Dictionary, research in detail is defined as a studious inquiry or the analysis, particularly investigation or experimentation aimed at the discovery and interpretation of the facts. The revision of accepted theories or the laws in the light of the new facts and the practical applications of such new or revised theories or laws. Now, despite the importance, the number of the outcome research studies conducted in India are lesser than other countries. So, this is not a good trend. The information about the distribution of the existing outcome research resources and the relevant expertise can benefit the researchers and the research groups interested in conducting the outcomes, the research studies and the policy makers interested in funding the outcomes research studies in India. Now, there are some bad issues in research which needs a special mention. A good research question should be focused on a single topic or on several closely related ideas. If it isn't, you won't end up with a good thesis. If a question is too general or doesn't stay on one topic, you can fix it by deciding which or part of the topic you want to research. Now, there are some another bad issues which also needs a special mention and a focus. The bad research often uses reliable data but manipulates and misrepresents it to support a clear conclusion. So this is not good. To arrive at a desired result, the question can be identified, the statistics chosen, and the research organized. The alternative views and the evidence may be misunderstood or skewed. The critiques of an idea can exaggerate the concerns about uncertainty. They imply because we do not know everything, there is to know about a subject. Because we don't know everything, there is to know about it. Now, there are some attractive and desirable steps in the research, which is actually elaborated now. The aim to portray all the point of views equally is one of the most desirable steps in research. People have their own point of view, people have their own story to tell, people have their own side to expose. So, there should be given a chance to portray all the various diverse paradigms as far as the points of differences are concerned. So, they should be given equal chance. And secondly, it provides the background information that is sufficient for the entire target audience, and this can be achieved by a literature review that summarizes the existing knowledge or by linking the related articles and the websites that provides a detailed and a balanced summary. It is required to do the literature review in detail because it is going to summarize what particular research work, the extent, magnitude and the paradigm and the frontiers of the existing knowledge will be highlighted, will be derived from a thorough literature review. And of course, once you have done the literature review in a very good and a thorough manner, you will be able to derive the research gaps. And of course, by linking to the related articles, the website, that could provide a detailed and a balanced summary. That is what has been done in India and of course its global counterparts. So you are able to find out the research gaps, and which is very important to build up the research rationale. That is, what were the steps owing to which you started doing this research work. So there are some steps which are more attractive and desirable. The third of which is it defines the research problems and their connections to the wider concerns of the treatment. It makes the data and the analysis accessible in a format that anyone can use and repeat it. The quantitative data should be provided in tables and the graphs, with the databases and the spreadsheets accessible upon request. So, it is definitely a very good advice to the budding and the new researchers that whatever research work you do, whatever data you collect, it should be reproducible, and whenever you send your work for the publication, if the journal people or the people who are publishing your work, they require your spreadsheets, your actual data upon which the analysis has been done, it should be accessible and available upon request. This makes the data more authentic, more reproducible, more publishable, and you will gain more reputation also, because it is going to give a clear idea to the people that this is your own work. And nowadays the research ethics, the originality of the work carries a lot of meaning owing to the different kind of punishments which have been suggested and given by University Grant Commission. Even there are severe guidelines for the self-plagiarism also. So another step which is very important and desirable is about addressing the analysis critical assumptions, such as whether a specific set or a form of analysis is used or rejected. It indicates how the findings have changed as the data and interpretation changed. So you should be able to recognize any differences. And another important point as far as the desirability is concerned is about the discussion, the conceptual relationship that exists between the research observations, assumptions, and the consequent alternative explanations are discussed, also including those that the researcher disagrees with. So they outline the findings of the study as well as any alert. It doesn't go overboard with the ramifications. Another important part, which is definitely desirable, is the considerate of the people with the different views. It also contains the ample sentences. It indicates the funding sources, particularly those that can benefit from the research findings. So if we give all these information in a very elaborative manner, it is desirable, acceptable, appreciable. So it is going to benefit the budding researchers. They will come to know about a good piece of research work done, how it is done, who is funding the authorities, how the referencing is done, how the literature review is done. So it is going to open the mind of the budding and the new researchers, which can pave a huge and a long way of success for their research endeavors. Now, on the contrary to what we are discussing, there are some undesirable issues also, and these undesirable issues are very important to be dealt with. So the first is, the topics are described in ideological terms that represent the opposing views and are used to frame a debate. Next is your research questions are generated to address a specific query. The alternative views are either dismissed or silently entirely. There are some methods of data processing. They are distorted and the assumptions are based on illogical reasonings. The theoretical weaknesses are overworked, overlooked, and the research consequences are exaggerated, which is definitely a very severe offense. There is a shortage of the main data and the other important analysis of the data, which makes your work very, very bleak, unappreciable and unnoticeable, and is going to catch a lot of criticism. The researchers are inexperienced with their specialized problems and the lack of the requisite credentials. The people with differing views are ridiculed and humiliated. And there are some citations also. They are more likely to come from the special interest groups or the popular media, and of course, rather than from the peer-reviewed publications or the professional and the academic organizations. So this kind of data manipulation, this kind of citation manipulations, they are oftenly called as basically the bad practices, and it should be stopped. So keeping into consideration the desirable steps and the undesirable steps, you should make a mention about what are desirable, try and put and incorporate and embed in your research work, and owing to the bad points you should avoid, and the issues of the bad research is also very important to know and to understand. A good research question should be focused on a single topic or several closely related ideas. The narrower it is, the better it is. The more broader it is, the more loose it is, and it is not going to catch the topic in-depth nature and will not appreciated as a good piece of work. The bad research often uses reliable data, but yes, it is manipulated and it is misrepresented to have a support and a clear conclusions. So to arrive at a desired result, the questions can be identified, the statistics can be chosen, and the research has to be very, very organized. And the alternative views, if you have any, and the evidences may be misunderstood or skewed. So that has to be taken care of, that they are not misunderstood and they are not overlooked as well. The critiques of an idea can be exaggerated concerns about uncertainty, and they imply that we do not know everything there is to know about a subject matter, because we don't know everything there is to know about it. So that means we should not be having this kind of a strong conviction about the entirety of the knowledge. We are having the knowledge but not at the entirety. So we should learn them, we should acquire the knowledge and then move on with our research endeavors. The aim to portray all the point of views equally is also one of the desirable and attractive steps. And of course, providing the background information and to the target audience is also appreciated, and followed by the research problems, the wider concerns and the treatment, and it makes the data and analysis accessible in a format that anyone can use and repeat it. And of course, if you are able to reproduce the data, the wonderful analysis it would be. The quantitative data should be provided in the tables and the graphs and the spreadsheets, and it should be accessible to all. It should be able to address the analysis, the critical assumptions, should be able to discuss the conceptual relationship, outline the findings of the study, and doesn't go overboard with the ramifications. And of course, if there is a considerate of the people with the different views, it should be there, and it should contain the ample references, and it should indicate the funding sources also, because it is going to benefit the good researchers with the best ideology, and of course they are generated in a very specific query, and the alternative views are either dismissed or silenced. So all these methods have to be incorporated, otherwise it is not going to be a good pieces of research work. And last but not the least, the citations, if any, should not be manipulated by a specific interest group or the popular media. Rather, the complete information relating to citation should be replaced by the peer-reviewed academic professional organizations to make the research very useful, meaningful and insightful.